Hospitality Leadership Culture Podcast.
Yes.
Yeah. And so what are we wanting to provide people with? Why should people listen to this thing?
Think outside the box. Get people to think. There's different perspectives, right? We've got to look from the perspective of the employer, the employee, and contractors that interact with that business. So from an employer's perspective, it's how can I improve the culture of my workplace? I'm the leader. How can I improve the culture of my workplace so that I, not only get the best out of my staff, which could be seen as you just want us to make money. Well, yeah, that is true. But B, if I get the best out of you, it's generally because I've provided an environment where you can flourish.
Yeah.
And you can actually be who you were created to be. So, yes, I get a tangible benefit from it, but you're also happier and you have higher levels of job satisfaction, which means you enjoy coming to work, which is this self-fulfilling...
Positive feedback loop.
Yeah, it works. It works for you, it works for me. And then I'm more encouraged by what you're doing. So me as a leader, I'm more inclined to want to give back to you so you can do more.
Yeah.
And where we can change the rhetoric, is that the word? Rhetoric of leadership in hospitality is that it's okay to give back to our staff. It's completely okay.
And it's actually going to benefit you.
Yeah, it's going to
financially as well.
It's going to increase your top line.
So a lot of people will be listening are perhaps business owners then who want the best for their business. And that's why they're listening to this podcast.
Yeah. Sorry, I switched off. I was reading something. Not bad. I've got to switch my phone off.
So people who are listening to this podcast, generally speaking, are business owners who want to grow their business and want creative ways to get the most out of their staff as well. But maybe not for their own sake, like selfishly, but for the sake of their staff.
Yeah, because I guess the underlying belief of that is that people matter and you have to value people. So, yeah, we have to shift, as leaders in hospitality, we have to shift our thinking from me to others.
Yeah.
Really. It is
and not just from me to the customer, but to actually the staff directly under you.
Yeah, absolutely. Because if you don't have staff, you don't have customers. Like if I don't have staff making coffee, a chef out the back making food, a dishy cleaning up, I don't have a cafe.
Yeah. That doesn't seem to be the culture at the moment, though. It's kind of like the customer's always right. The staff, they come in, disposable commodity, perhaps, get that teenager in, that interim job.
Yep.
That's what hospitality is full of at the moment, and it seems to be working, right?
I would suggest not. I don't think it is working. I've worked for a lot of people that aren't very happy with their current lot in life. They work 7 days a week because they're the owners of the business, right? They work 7 days a week, they work long hours, and they probably don't get much reward out of it. And then when you want to go away, the manager's sick. Well, it looks like I'm going in and can my holiday. So, yeah, it's a tough industry.
So they have a lot of responsibility, but they can't really delegate that to others because they haven't built up the structure around them in order to do that.
Yeah, that's right. And I think the cause of that is the leader themselves.
So how to be a better leader.
Yeah.
Would someone who's an employee be listening to this podcast?
Yeah, absolutely. I think because it can be, as an employee, you're sitting there going, I'm not valued, which is true, right? You might not be valued. But how am I going to improve and contribute so that this doesn't happen in the future? Like if I'm working for someone where I know I'm not valued, what am I going to do different when I'm in this position of leadership? And there is definitely training grounds. Like you have to go through the pains of being a waiter, being a cashier, being a barista, being a roaster, working 70 hours a week, getting paid for 40, because that's developing. And I really think that that's integral to building you as a person and coming to a spot of acceptance where I can accept that this is where I'm at in life and I'm learning and I'm growing. It's not going to be like this forever, but I actually have the choice and the agency in life to make a positive impact, to make a choice. Like, heck, if I hate it that much, why am I even here? Man, I'll just go and be a lifeguard. I get paid $25 an hour to look at people swimming. It's pretty easy.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
yet I'm sitting in this coffee roastery getting paid not much. Why am I doing it?
Well, it's like an apprenticeship, right? It's like your university degree. You could think of it like that. You need that ground experience, and you can work within the system, and then maybe one day own your own coffee shop, own your own high-end restaurant. So let's give 2 practical examples. Tell us, have you ever experienced someone living within this ideal kind of what you would see as where we need to be in terms of hospitality in the future, this worker, perhaps? What does that even look like?
So, as in a positive experience?
Yeah, have you had that, or what does that look like?
Yeah, I guess the example would be Moo Moo's in Brisbane. I mean, that's where we're from, right? Going to Moo Moo's during COVID times, it's been a really rough year. 2020 this was. Business, especially hospitality, is not doing too great because we had to pivot really hard. And we rock up and there's some rules that seem pretty stupid to me, to be honest. You know, you got a 2-hour seating window. You have to order enough mains for the whole table when there's a perfectly good share dish that would suit the whole table without ordering a main each.
So you came in, you had a few issues with ordering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To say the least. And my first impression was like, man, this is a stitch up. What's going on? But the waiter was really, really good. He was energetic. You could tell that he actually was invested in what he was doing. He loved what he was doing. And we got talking, and I found out that he's actually a sommelier, and he gets sent to Adelaide once a year by the company to go and train and learn and grow in his knowledge about wine and how it's going to work with Moo Moo, which is a steak restaurant. And he was able to share that experience, which was actually really inspiring, because he's a dude who's probably, I'd put it at somewhere around early 30s, mid 30s, still in the hospitality game, working nights, probably got a family at home, working weekends, but he's energized.
He enjoys what he's doing. He's passionate about what he's doing, and he's empowered by his leadership structure in order to fulfill that.
That's what it sounded like, yeah. And the perception was that he enjoyed what he was doing.
Yeah, and it made the experience a lot better.
Yes, it ultimately fixed my first perception of Moo Moo.
But that's the high end though, right? Like they're charging stupid amounts for a steak. They're probably getting tips and things like that. I mean, a kid at Macca's, it's like, come on, they're just there to earn a few bucks so they can, I don't know, what do kids do these days? Go to the movies on the weekend? No. Buy extra coins on their like mobile app? Yeah, probably.
Yep.
So how does that apply to the little guys as well? Like,
how would...
Yeah, because it's easy to have this idealistic, spend money on the sommelier, goes off, learns about wine, comes back, because there's a market for that. There's like, of course you want to value that guy, because I mean you are a high-end restaurant. You want high-end staff. You want formally trained staff. Like why would a small coffee shop or like a juice store in the middle of the CBD or something employ these same principles? Like, do you really want to invest into your staff that much when there's like 50 other 20-year-olds looking for a job for $17 an hour or $12 an hour, whatever you can pay them? I don't know if this really translates across.
Yeah, it's true, and it's a good question, because I guess what it is how do we... I mean, you're right. You don't send everyone in your company to Adelaide, well, to anywhere to get specific training for a specific part of your business. But where it could translate is the fact that underpinning job satisfaction, perceived levels of organisational support is a massive indicator for it. So if I perceive you as my boss to be supportive of me in carrying out my daily tasks, I'm much more confident to come to you and ask for help, and B, I'm well equipped to do my job. So going one step further, if I believe you value me as a person, you're the leader, I'm the employee, I'm more likely to want to work hard for you. So if I am that 15-year-old at Macca's flipping burgers, and I know that, you know, the Christmas party this year, I'm getting the whole team together. We're going to get recognised. We're going to get a pat on the back, a thank you, a genuine one, not a BS one, you know what I mean? It's like, oh yeah, here's a couple of crappy little branded
There's
gifts.
a gift card for Big W for $20.
Yeah, it's like, hey.
And everyone got the same thing and the same like printed off card from the CEO with a signature. It's like you didn't even read it, you know?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, thanks for a great year. Like, yeah, you had a great year. You went skiing in the flaming Swiss Alps whilst I was flipping burgers in Logan. I mean, heck. The point is that if I get a early knock and we go to the Christmas party, I know that's a big sacrifice, right? You got an early knock. We're talking about McDonald's. This is the example. An early knock for McDonald's would mean shutting down what is ordinarily a 24-hour operation. That's a big ask. But I think that's worth it because you're telling what you do in your actions to me is saying that you actually value me enough to shut down your business, your income, your livelihood, to acknowledge the hard work that I've done in your business. Not only that, you've given me a gift to say thank you, but you've publicly acknowledged my effort through the week. And I think that is a very, very simple way of acknowledging what the little guy has done in your business. And, you know, they might not be a little guy, they might be a full-time worker. But we still have to appreciate what they do because they are literally like if you look at a gear, you know, you've got a number of teeth in a gear.
Yeah.
There are teeth of a cog, which is part of a massive ecosystem machine that represents a business. But without that, what happens? What happens to a gearbox if one of the teeth on first gear is missing? Man, it stitches the whole engine up. You can't operate efficiently. And I think that's what's going on today is that in hospitality in general, there's a lot of missing teeth.
Yeah.
And that's purely because that teeth represents a person who is not present in their job because they don't want to be there.
Yeah, and because they're not valued there, why would they? I mean, they're just seen as $17 an hour. It's literally trading money for time.
That's
but
right.
if they can see that value that they're creating for other people within the company or for you, or that their hard work is acknowledged, you're going to create this positive feedback loop that we talked about before, where, yeah, you're going to see the business grow and you're going to see people grow. And you're also going to identify those people to stay on that maybe would have gone somewhere else, but actually their experience at this workplace tapped into something that they were good at. Because I think there's a lot of people who are great at hospitality. Like they're actually excellent at their job, but they never get the chance to be mentored, to be grown. And so they move on to something else where they could have actually provided a whole heap of value for your business.
Mm. Well, that's exactly right. I think my own personal story is indicative of that. I was a swimmer, and I worked at my coach at the time got me a job at a local cafe, and I worked there to earn additional income on top of the allowance I was getting from the government. And I was doing it to be a swimmer, and I'll just go and work Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but it was always that on the way to job. I ended up quitting that job, and I think it's pretty good that I quit because ultimately the next week I probably would have got fired anyway. I don't think they were too chuffed with me because for whatever reason I didn't really fit the mold that they were looking for. I guess I challenged. Maybe I challenged the status quo, I don't know. But lo and behold, the next month I find myself rocking into a place called Veneziano Coffee Roasters, which if you're in Australia you probably know them. They're a pretty big specialty roaster. And the reason I name drop them is because I don't know how I got the job there, but I did, which was insane because that led to me learning about the whole process of coffee from crop to cup, which not many people can explain to you that to get 1 kilo of roasted coffee, it takes 70 kilos worth of coffee cherries to get 1 kilo roasted product, right? Yeah. So I learnt things like that along the way, which was absolutely crazy, which has really led to where we are now having this discussion because I started as an in-between job. I wanted to be a professional athlete, got a job in a cafe as a way to support that. And here I am now, almost, 8 years later, and I'm still thinking about hospitality and how can we improve it. It went from being an in-between job to a lot of my spare time thinking about the culture and the leadership aspect of hospitality and why is it the way it is.
And we might have mentioned this before, but we're living in Sweden right now and starting our own coffee business. And we want to take you on along the journey with us and talk about some of the decisions we're making and really put some of what we're talking about today into practice. It's not just about the bottom line, it's about the people. And I think that's something that is becoming a lot more talked about. You hear a lot of companies, especially in the US, they're not finding staff and they're not paying enough or whatever it might be. And we want to be the remedy to that solution. I mean, the world is changing. It's always changing. And this new generation coming up is kind of sick and tired of the crap that was put up with in previous generations. They don't want to just be a slave wage, effectively. They don't want to fund someone else's Swiss holiday. They want to be they want to be valued and they want to grow. And we want to see these people as individuals. And I think that's what ethical business is all about. And we want to talk about that. We want to give you practical ideas, tips, solutions. We want to make mistakes with you, perhaps, and talk about our journey starting up a coffee shop here in Sweden. It sounds absolutely wild, but that's what we're going to do. And that's what we want to do with you here as well. So thank you for listening to the podcast today. Please click that subscribe button with whatever you're listening to. Give us a like, send us a message, and we'll think about what we want to talk about next time. And maybe you could help us with that. What do you want to hear about? What is interesting to you?